Mr. Greenwald, good to have you back with us.
Thank you, Ed. Great to be with you.
You have just completed a tour over in Afghanistan doing a documentary, I understand, on the drones and just what impact this is having. And, of course, it hit the pages of the New York Times over the weekend. First of all, Robert, tell us about your trip.
Well, actually, I had been to Afghanistan, but that was 2 years ago when you and I discussed the war and we were lonely voices questioning its escalation. And now the trip that I just got back from was to Pakistan, where I'm doing interviews with a series of people, everybody to Imran Khan, who's running for highest office in Pakistan, who may in fact be the elected leader there, to doctors, to lawyers, to most tragically, innocent families and drone victims and tribal leaders, all of them talking about the fact that the drones are having a disastrous effect on safety, security, and the role that the United States can and will play in such an important country as Pakistan. But it was deeply personal, Ed. You know, person after person looked me in the eyes, thanked me for coming, and said, please explain to President Obama, we are innocent people. We are not terrorists. One man brought a picture, literally, Ed, of his 65-year-old mother and holds it up to me and said, this is my mother. I loved her deeply. She was working in the fields. She was killed by a drone. She is not a terrorist. A 16-year-old boy who used to love playing cricket can no longer play cricket. So there's a moral issue and there's a security issue. You know, we are making literally hundreds of thousands of enemies for ourselves with this policy.
So the policy of shutting down the terrorists and going after them with drones is having, I hate to use the term, but for sake of conversation, some collateral damage that really, really hurts the people on the ground, obviously. And the human element of this is continuing to mount. Yeah, the human element is horrific. But even if you don't accept the human element, and let's say there are those who say, yeah, but we have to go after bad guys. Yes, we have to go after bad guys. But according to the NYU Stanford study, and others are substantiating this, maybe 2% of the people we're hitting are what's called high-value targets. The 2%? 2%, Ed. That's the so-called high-value targets. And that's the way the program started, saying, who are the real bad guys that we're not able to get? We target and go for them. But now it's spreading, and it's spreading, and it's spreading, and there are hundreds of strikes. There's something called, get this, and remember, this is all against the country we're not at war with, whose sovereignty we're invading, being run by the CIA, not by the military. So now the CIA has something called a signature strike. What's a signature strike? It's not an individual, but when they see on their screen a pattern of behavior by a group of men, they can decide to go after them. Well, there's a horrible story about a local, what they call a jirga, when tribal people come together to settle disputes. The elders are all there. We killed somewhere between 20 and 40 of the most respected people in this community with a so-called drone signature strike. The Pakistani government knew that this meeting was taking place, but somehow the CIA didn't and eliminated a whole, literally almost an entire community of leaders. Now, what we're doing then, can you imagine in that community the thirst for revenge, the number of people who now are committed enemies who are going to try to make our life less safe? That's not making us more secure, and this is what happens when we turn this policy over to the CIA. It's pretty amazing. Now, what kind of response, what do you plan to do with all this information? Take us down that road. Well, we're going to do two things, as we did with our work on Afghanistan and with the Koch brothers. One, we're going to be doing a series of short pieces, which people can get by following me on Twitter or signing up at warcosts.com, either the website or the Facebook page. A lot of short pieces that will be coming out, short videos and blogs. And then we're making a full-length documentary that will go into all aspects of it. It'll go into the victims. It'll go into national security. We have former CIA agents who are going to talk to us about why and how this is not making us safer. And we will go into the financial impetus, which is the
drone companies, as we know, the other military companies, are giving significant amounts of money to elected officials to try to buy their support for policies that are often making them more profit but not making us safer.
So what do you want what should the United States do?
Well, I think what the United States needs to do is have a policy of security. The CIA should do what the CIA used to do, which is collect intelligence, not turn into a paramilitary operation. And what the United States needs to do, and what the president had said way before he was running for office, is you can't kill your way to a solution. You have to identify the bad guys, you have to go after them in a targeted fashion, and you have to enlist the support of the community. You know, every successful end for a terrorist operation over the years, and they do end, Ed, has, you know, and there's research and studies on this now, is based on the fact of enlisting the support of the local community to drive them out. If you have the local community, they can't thrive. But what we're doing now, as person after person told me, is just, you know, somebody said the Taliban and Al-Qaeda no longer need to recruit in Pakistan. All they do is go into a village after there's been a drone strike, and people are lining up to support them.
You think President Obama is really full-throated with this policy? Do you think that he knows that, and he's the commander-in-chief, do you think he knows that only 2% of high-value targets are being hit in these drone strikes?
I doubt it, and I'm sure the CIA would argue against that. The problem is the CIA is in the room with the president. We're not. But what we all need to do, just as we did with Afghanistan, where it was the wrong policy and we ultimately got it turned around, we're going to need to raise our voices very loud because, and also, you know, the other part of this issue, and this I'm sure the president is aware of, what's going to happen, Ed, when other countries get the drones? What argument do we have when we are using drones against countries that we're not at war with? What do you say to other countries? I mean, can we imagine if Canada or Mexico identified some bad guys, so-called bad guys that they thought in this country, and we're sending drones over here to attack them? The Parliament of Pakistan has voted 3 times unanimously to stop the drones.
You have any lawmakers who are onto this?
At the moment, we don't, but I believe there will be. You know, that's
you just think it's a story that hasn't gotten to them yet.
Exactly, because they've, you know, the media, the traditional media, has been saying over and over again. What have we read for the last 2-3 years? Every time there's a drone strike, we get a report that's saying 8 militants, 10 militants, 20 militants, 30 militants. Where is that information coming from? It's coming from the CIA. There's no backup. There's no substantiation. But what's happening now with the wonderful people in Pakistan, the drone victims who are coming forward, they're beginning to challenge that. Well, once people start to become aware, they say, wait a minute, we can't accept that. There's no proof. There's no evidence. And here's a mother, here's a father, here are children. These are not terrorists. How can we accept the CIA saying only militants were killed? You know, for a while, Brennan said there were no civilian casualties. Well, that's just pure, absurd distortion of the worst kind.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking forward to seeing this. This is going to be on your website soon, bravenewfilms.org?
Yes, it will be, and it'll be at warcost.com. And as I say, you can get it on Facebook, Warcost, or my Facebook, or Twitter. We'll be getting it out all over, and we're going to need everyone's help, Ed, just as your viewers and listeners were so amazing in helping us get the word out on Afghanistan. This is going to be another example of truly media doing its job and what I hope will be democracy in action.
Okay. Robert Greenwald here on the Ed Schultz Radio Show. We'll have you back talking more about it. bravenewfilms.org. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Ed.
You bet.